Greetings, everyone. I'm Karthik from Maithri Aquatech, and we welcome you to the fifth episode of AquaTalks, our webinar series promoting thought leadership and knowledge sharing in the sphere of water. Once again, we acknowledge the support of Rotary Bangalore Whitefield Central, in collaboration with whom we bring you this episode, and we thank the Rotarians for participating in this episode. For the panelists today, we have invited Mr. Eli Cohen, a CEO and founder of AYALA Water and Ecology, an Israeli company, and also our very own Mr. Shyamsunder, who is the Director and Head of Product Development at Maithri Aquatech. Thank you to both the panelists for joining us on this episode. Before we start, any questions that the participants have can be entered into the chat in the user interface, which will be answered during the episode. And we request everyone, once again, to keep your microphones on mute and their videos off. Yeah. To start off with the first panelist, as mentioned earlier, Mr. Eli Cohen, he is the CEO and founder of AYALA Water and Ecology and a sustainability expert with over 30 years of experience, both in research and practical experience in nature-based solutions for water and watershed management. He's also a member of the International Phytotechnology Society and was a keynote speaker at many large environmental conferences. He's also an advisor to India's Clean Ganga mission. So, Mr. Eli Cohen, please tell us about how you first entered into the sustainability space and why you think there is a need for sustainable solutions just as yours.
It's a question, or you want me to start my presentation? Anyway, but basically, getting into this sustainability field, I suppose that it was luck. Actually, I was blessed to get into this beautiful field, but it's an outcome of some circumstances that lead me. My background is physics, thermodynamics, in the academia. I was running this R&D division in this high-tech company about 32 years ago, for a few years. I really enjoyed my work over there. And then I bought my farm in the Galilee, in Tzipori, and I suddenly found out that I want to be a farmer, actually. I have the land, and I start working on it as a hobby. And very fast, I got into agriculture and into all related things like water issues, etc. And very fast, it's an organic farm, but we specialize in aquatic plants, which it started with aquarium plants and later on all kinds of aquatic plants. And by dealing, I used to export to Japan, to Europe, all over the world, these plants, very high quality ones. But by dealing with water, you learn a lot about the environment, because you can't use practices that you use in India or in Europe or in the US in my region, because in each ecological region, you have different conditions which you have to adapt to, and you have to learn how to work with. And so a lot of know-how, intuitive, and also for my background, physics and thermodynamics, build up a technology, call it the NBS technology, the nature-based solution, which basically say that whatever you can do without using energy, without using electromachinery or technology that's a complicated one, do it. We are not against technology. We are not against energy using, but avoid it when you can. Because if you think about it, using energy and consumption is the main problem of humanity today. We're consuming too much, and the amount of fossil that we're burning actually accumulate around us. And this is the main cause of global warming, which in its turn, cause another problems, as we all know. But in the same time, when life quality goes climb up, etc., we also consume more water, more fresh water. When we consume, and population go up dramatically in the last 100 years, it's like 3 times more the population in the world. So the burden on Earth is huge, but we do nothing to actually help it solve it and help the Earth to accommodate. And if you think about ecology, and economy. I mean, you can actually solve your problems and you recycle wherever you create and reuse it. And if you use rightly the energy, then you can create a balance that can survive for generations to come. But we are not doing it. We're just using too much, we're throwing too much, we're consuming much more than we need. And this is the main cause of, but this is a fact. This is a situation that we have to change, of course. We have to approach it in a different way. So talking about a solution, maybe let me open the can I share?
Yeah, you can share, yes.
Just let me just find it. Just a minute. יצחק, אני אחזור לך עוד איזה שעה, בסדר? אני בשיחת זום עכשיו, בסדר? ביי ביי. Sorry, just a minute. Find it. Okay.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, can you see that now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so let me just enlarge it. So let's just go through it fast and just go to the examples and see how it works in practice. As you see over here, we have many years of experience, field experience in the subject. But if you see over here, the main, as I said before, but the main problem is actually overuse of energy. And when you're coming to water treatment, most of the technologies that we use today are all based on energy, chemicals, etc. So you see this graph over here, it always goes up. I mean, more to the sewage, more energy, and it's a spiral that never ends. And we need to actually break it, break this nexus between water and energy. And this is the main problem of globally. And so we need to reduce carbon emission, and on the other hand, we need to treat more water to create more fresh water for everyday use. And again, using the conventional one won't get us anywhere. We're just going deeper and deeper into the nowhere. So let's say, and we always ask, what would you prefer? Something like this, or something like this? And this one over here on the right, doing the same thing and much more. This one use no energy, no chemical, just working by itself. This is an old system that we, now it's much even bigger and stronger. In the heart of Tel Aviv, in a commercial building, we treat the sewage coming out from a commercial building over here. It's being treated over here in this system, running into this ornamental pond, and then being used for irrigation, for example. And no smell, no noise, no nothing, just working for 21 years actually. And this one over here might do the same. I'm not sure about it, but quality won't be the same because this one treat many other variants that this one not touch at all. But it's a moss in the environment. Nobody want to live nearby, and this is part of your landscape over here. So this is the idea this is the basic idea of the approach. Do it on site, no piping, no pumping, and treat it as part of your landscape. Reduce carbon footprint dramatically, and on the other hand, even harvest carbon from the air by enlarging the green cover. And it can be done in many sites. Let's go ahead and see that. Again, this is something that we have done in Hyderabad, your hometown, Kartik. This is then the AGA golf course, Hyderabad Golf Association, and this is part of the golf course. And it could have been something like that, maybe smaller, and it can be something like this, a part of the landscape. And it's actually this is I think the only golf course in India that have free water for irrigation for a few years already, free of charge. Actually, they're using the running sewage that running through the landscape, treat it on site, and use it We'll see some pictures in a minute. And another example over here of like a big, this is the city of Delhi, the state of Delhi, north part. This is the Yamuna River over here. And we designed a solution for the entire north part of Delhi, 8 million people. And again, over here, it's part of the landscape, part of the supplementary drain over here, Najafgarh River. And we finished designing it, and we submitted it about 2 years ago to the government over there, and we showed that we can treat over here 250 million liters per day in this system, this is a game changer if you think about it. You don't need any conveyance, any pipings, any pumpings over here. It's just part of your landscape, and you create what we call it the tree of life. People can actually walk from their home all the way in a park, all the way to the Yamuna River, which they can't do right now. And this is a very powerful green kidney and lung in the city, which reduce not only not creating any carbon, but also reduce carbon footprint dramatically. And actually, you can commercialize it later on, it's also an economical advantage. And of course, this is the same system. What it can do, it's also harvest rainwater, treat it on site as part of your landscape, recharge the aquifer, prevent floods downstream, and it's a social one. It means that the system is part of your everyday life. People live in it. It's built by the local people, most of it. We use local commodities, we use local plants. So it's actually everything being done as part of your life, and people actually take care of it. And against the other one that they don't want to see in their home because of the smell and the noise. And again, let's just go forward. And when we talk about sustainability, by just Mark, this is sustainable system for us is a system that can work by itself. You don't have to add anything to it to make it work. This is life. It's like your body. If you give it food, good air, and water, it will survive if you do the right things. And the same thing with anything in nature. Just let it, the basic thing that it's requests, like plants, give them the water. And if you give them sewage water, they're even happier because they have a source of food. So it's actually, you're creating a system that are independent of anything else, just supplies them with what they need. And this is what we know we need. This is a pure sustainable solution. And we can see over here this like I said before, aquifer replenishment, etc. But the main thing over here is the carbon footprint against the treated sewage quality. You see, you have more sewage treated, you have less carbon footprint, and on the contrary, you have a positive carbon footprint because actually you harvest carbon from the air. And this is actually basically the graph, the way it looks. You see, it's not only about treating water. We're using gravity, we're using different kind of plants, we're using different kind of substrates, we're using different kind of natural additives, but it's, and we treat any kind of water. I'll show you some samples in a minute, but it's also about, like I say, water harvesting, treating it before it's reaching the aquifer. It's very important because if you recharge the aquifer with dirty water, you kill the aquifer. It's achieving nothing. So you need to actually treat it with water that, recharge it with water that have been treated properly before reaching. In the past, the water was used to stand on the soil and being infiltrated into the ground and then being treated by microorganisms in the ground. Today, if you can't do that, it's they don't have the time and capacity to hold the water because it's running right away. We try to hold it upstream, let it infiltrate, but through a natural cover that treat it. I'll show you some examples of things that the product we produced and the design lately for that the same. So let's just go through it and about economical. There's much to say, but you can see over here. This is the NBS, the nature-based solution. This is the conventional one. You can see through the years differences in cost is dramatic because you don't have any maintenance over here. To start with, the difference in cost. I mean, I'm talking for the same quality in the outlet. The NBS will be cheaper than any STP. I'm saying, say it again, for the same quality in the outlet will be cheaper. because the regular STP, you need after treatment MBR and SBR and all other additives. We don't need anything. It's just being done all together at the same time. So the difference in capital might not be so big, but they're still a bit different. But through the time, the difference between the two systems is huge. And we have shown that a few years ago already, based on the report of the ITT that supplied to the government for why solution didn't succeeded in the Ganga. You know, the millions and millions was poured into the Ganga solution, which didn't work. And the bottom line of this report, which is very, very impressive, a very nice report, it's saying that the solutions that was chosen, conventional one, are not fit into this condition. The development is too fast, population is too dense, and you can actually, you can't design a centralized one that depend on the water conveyance, etc. And you need to do something else. I mean, it's a long report, but the bottom line to say the best one, the most advised one is the nature-based one. The quality consultant wetland, the phytoremediation, and this is what this is a recommendation about 10, 15 years ago. This is the system in Hyderabad. You see it. It's actually treating sewage, which actually, by the way, contain also dairy farms upstream, and people can walk on it and play golf, cross it. And this is the, you see, water coming in, is what coming out. It goes into a downstream lake from where they pump it to the entire golf course, and the excess water goes to the Musi River. And if you think about Hyderabad, if you fabricate the city with hundreds or dozens of systems like that, and all the nalas, Kukatpalli Nala, etc., going down, and we have done a research and a design for the city about 10 years ago already, the HDMA at the time, to how to solve the problem of the Kukatpalli Nala. And you can do it along the Nala as a beautiful landscape, treat the water and protect the Sagar Lake very efficiently. So this is, again, this is the big one. This is the Tree of Life in Delhi. This is one that we designed for the city of Nice in France. Rivers, we have one, this one in Israel, the Alcon River, working, this is a satellite picture, working for more than 20 years, very efficiently. And actually the only maintenance over here is actually gardening. And this is the results. You see the water before and after. And this is another river in another town. We just finished it a few months ago. We just start operating now. It's an urban, see over here, it's an urban river in the city itself. We're using here treated water from the nearby STP to feed the system. Neighborhoods that are being treated, the sewage into the part of the landscape, and after treatment goes into this ornamental ponds and then being used for irrigation. The entire area zone over here is being irrigated with using this treated water. And we have checked the water qualities, and we did this test for years. Results are excellent and remain excellent. It's very steady. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free. This is the cosmetic plant that we're treating, the L'Oreal company that we have doing the system, working for 5 years, excellent results. They're saving a lot, and they're using the water in the plant. This is another cosmetic plant, Ahava, on the Dead Sea. Anybody been to Israel? Maybe remember the lowest point on Earth. This is very harsh conditions. The system works there for many years. Results are excellent. Power plants, and again, in the southern part of Israel, see water before and after. This is how it's look. See, it's in the heart of this power plant. They build this one, we build this one, and it's looking beautiful, and they're very happy, and they're saving a fortune of it. And they don't have a problem of electricity, as I understand, but they just wanted something different. This is a few things in India, for example. This is the food processing plant in near Coimbatore, the sugar plant in UP. This is a cheese plant again in Andhra Pradesh, down south, and this is textile in Vapi, and this is for example the the cheese company. Look at the water coming in, water coming out, and the results are very steady, very good. And you know, if you know cheese factories, it's COD is very high, can reach even 25,000, and it treated it very well. Again, textile, and I won't get into it. Over here, you can see a hydrocarbon system where we treat the oil factory hydrocarbons using the same methods, and we reduce. And over here, by the way, this one we treat mineral oils, but with salt water. But the water over here is the sea salt, sea water. This is the water coming out from the boats, and they are diluted in the oil. They separate the water from the oil, and then we treat the remains of the oil in the water using these special plants. Again, this is let's talk about urban system. So this is in rural areas systems. This is a kibbutz down south in the desert in Israel. It's over here we treat the entire water of the kibbutz and reuse them. It's very dry. We're talking about 15 millimeter a year of rain. 50 millimeter. See, in China, you're talking about 1,500. Imagine the difference in numbers, but it's still they managed to design and to work the water in a very efficient way. And what you see over here, this is a lake where they're growing aquatic, organic fish. And there's another lake over here that treats the water in this big lake. See over here, the picture of it. And the results, that's what published in an international magazine, very important one. You can see the results are amazing. Very, very high quality for a few years. This is the Lawrence School. I suppose some of you know it in the near Uti. We have 2 systems working there, and we're treating the water from the dormitories, from the kitchen, from the different sources in the schools, and it's they are very happy. They did the one, we're very happy, did the other one. Now, if not the corona, we would have done 2 more, I suppose, but now it's on hold, kind of. I want to show some examples of something the product we developed lately. I mean, in the last 2-3 years, a portable and a modular system that meant to give solution for villages and remote communities all over the world, and India of course as well. This is actually a container. Can be sent anywhere in the world, to any village, remote village that a truck can reach, or helicopter, whatever you choose. This is actually one another. You bring it to the area, you open it, and put it on a ready-made platform just to make the gravity. And it's including all the materials inside, substrate and plants. And you feed it with contaminated water from one side, and you get very high quality, actually drinkable water quality in the outlet. So this can supply good water to villagers and give them the water security in one hand, and also can protect the ponds and lakes and the aquifers from the running sewage. And we have the smaller versions, the Eco line, that this one we installed in another companies in Israel, where they have a small capacity water. This is something that we developed. We call it the Eco-Reach, which meant to recharge the aquifer with especially units that have this pipe goes to any depths you want. We do it after we're doing the geo survey. But as you see over here, before it's running into the ground, it's being filterized. So the water are not going down as a raw sewage, but it goes some kind of a treatment, and excess water goes to the next one. So you see it over here. You have many of them fabricated in the. It can be in the urban area. It can be in the open area. Wherever you have to design it properly, and then you can recharge your aquifer and save a lot of water. And this is something else that we developed based on the demand. This is the portable toilets. For many people in India and all over the world don't have equitable toilets. So develop this one, but this is a unique. We call it completely sustainable. You have this water reservoir on top. You can fill it with something like between 5 to 10 cubic meter of water once every few weeks. The truck can fill it, then all by gravity running through the system, flushing, etc., goes into our system, the eco line, being treated. You have the septic tank in the start with, and then goes out for, it can be recycled back to over here, or it can be used for irrigation. So sky's the limit. And we have for a few other products, but these are the main that more, anyway, there are much more, but let's just hear you. Let's if you have any questions.
Yeah, so given your work with a lot of government institutions where you've actually been an advisor or a consultant or actually a keynote speaker in many of these environmental conferences, what is one thing you've seen a majority of the countries that or people you work with, what's one thing that they do wrong in the water sustainability space? Or is sustainability a thing that somebody's chasing out there?
Well, I think the main problem, especially in the decision makers and the old school designers, they are still stuck in like I said, in the conventional concept of energy-based solutions. If you don't have a pump, electricity, or some kind of machinery, or something that you can check and monitor, then you have a problem. It wouldn't work, because this is what they taught us for the last 50 years. That the technology is the face of everything. And what we're saying is we are not against technology, but we say let's avoid it when we can. And nature provides us with all the amazing tools around us. Let's just use it properly. And as you see, the solution is for the private house up to the entire city of Delhi or Nice. So, and you just have to think out of the box and tailor the solution to the city, to the area, to the zone, to the landscape. And it's what's important. It's also a social system. It's work with the people, not against the people. This is
like you said, your analogy about the environment being just like a human body. I mean, Absolutely. What we want is all out there. It's just, you consume that and you just it keeps running on its own. Yeah.
Absolutely. Always think simple. Think, take the analogy of us with nature as part of nature, not above nature. And then it will be much easier. And I'm facing this problem with the decision makers for years. And it's not easy, but I enjoy the trip, this voyage. But it's not easy. But I can feel a change in the air in the last, at least, especially in the last year. Hopefully, it will go on.
Sure. We'll get back to the Q&A once we speak with Mr. Shyamsunder. So thank you, Mr. Eli Cohen, for your work and your valuable insight into the whole topic. Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Shyamsunder, as he said, our very own director and head of product development in Maithri Aquatech. He's an engineering expert with over 40 years of experience and has also pioneered atmospheric water generation as a technology in India by developing various AWG models which are unique to the segment, and had also founded an early AWG company. So, Mr. Shyamsunder, before we start, could you please tell us about how you arrived at this water sustainability space and how your experiences have caused you to work and grow in this field?
Thanks, Karthik. Karthik, the screen still has a.
Oh yeah, Mr. Eli, if you could.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't have no more over here. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think before I start, I should say I was dumbstruck with what Mr. Eli Cohen is into. And if I have to take one sentence from him, what I would like to take is think out of the box and be with nature. It's fabulous. Okay. And it always gives a feeling, the world is still intact with people like you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So now, Karthik, you are asking me about how my experience with the water and how I'm into it. I think if I have to tell you, I got into water only by 2004. Okay. So until then, I was only a marketing person. And suddenly 2004, I was living in Chennai, and there was a huge water crisis that happened in Chennai. And everybody thinking, how do we solve the problem? Or how do we manage the problem? Okay. Now, you can only manage a problem as long as you have a resource or the source is available. Now, when the source itself is not available, you cannot manage the problem. That's when we also thought out of the box and said, is there an alternative to the limited groundwater resource? And that's when it struck, there is immense amount of water which is available in the atmosphere. Is there a way we can capture them and make it available for the mankind as a perennial source? So before I go into the details of AWG, something I would always like to say is, I've always been fascinated about water. If you ask me what is water is the elixir of life. It's the most powerful thing. In the presence of it, every living organism exists. In the absence of water, no organism exists. That is water. Now that water, if you understand, is plentiful in earth. Okay. Now, the water is also, we are also trying to see whether water is available in other planets also, and we find that it is available in certain other planets, and it was also available in Venus. But now we don't have water in the Venus primarily because what we have on Earth is the gravity, which holds back the atmospheric moisture and retains it. Whereas in Venus, there is no gravity, so it drains away from the atmosphere, and today we have no more water here. So that's why I always say, the quantity of water which is available in the earth is a constant from the day it came into existence, primarily because of this gravitational force. Now, coming to the point, the water quantity is constant, but where is it now is a big question. 70% of earth is water, but we would like to know where the water really is. If you come from top, the glaciers and the ice has around 1% of water, and then we have 1% of water in the groundwater, and there is another 1% which is available in the aquifers, and there's another 97% of water is available in the sea. Now let's understand that 1% in the glacier is not accessible, and there is 1% which is available in the aquifers is also not accessible, and the 97% which is available in the sea is too salty for us to directly consume. So what are we left with? Just 1%. Now this 1% has been a constant, or it is depleted rather, over millions of years of time. But the population of the country, the world, everything is gone up a million times. So the demand is increased, the supply is constant. What do you face is acute crisis. That's why we say there's huge amount of water problem everywhere. People are not able to handle the water situations, and everything is happening now. Now, what all we have done is we are only trying to manage the water problem. So we have 1% of the water, and we are trying to see how do we manage with this 1%. And what have we done to handle this 1%? What we have done is we're trying to purify the water, clean the water, make it available. So what happens, the groundwater which is available is polluted because of man-made causes like industrial and agricultural pollution. And what is also happening, that 1% is not quality-wise good, and to make it potable and drinkable, we use various treatment systems like and reverse osmosis system or any other treatment. What happens when you do that? For every liter of water produced, there is going to be a huge amount of effluent which has been created. So there is, theoretically speaking, if the TDS is above 1000, that can be a wastage of 2 liters of water for every liter of water produced. One side you say there's no water, and another say you say the quality of water is bad. Now what we do by this, all this treatment process, we not only deplete the available groundwater resource, we are also adding more and more impurities into the groundwater. It's high time we moved away from water treatment process and we find out a way how we can retain the limited groundwater resource. But man needs water. Man, to survive, he needs water. To eat, he needs vegetables, paddy, whatever it is, food, and the food needs water. So water is the source of everything. So the groundwater is becoming very scarce and it is polluted, then we can't depend on that. We'll have to look at something alternative. I come back to what I started in 2004. That's why we thought, is there a way? Is there something which is plentiful without tapping the groundwater? So the alternative which came is, we have 97% of water is available in the sea. Now, sea water can be treated There's a lot of desalination plant, various methodologies. I don't want to get into the depth of those things, primarily because that's not the subject I'm into. So there are various processes which are available to remove the salt from the water and bring it to the drinking stage, or can be used for agriculture. So what is the disadvantage when you take from desalination is, one is it's capital intensive. Second, there's a lot of corrosion that happens in the pipeline because of the salinity of the water, which leads to a lot of maintenance issues. Next, this seawater, if it has to be transported to the point of need, there's a huge amount of logistics and piping is required, which will also involve huge maintenance and also transportation involved. And what is also important is there will be effluent will be created in the sea, and that can affect the flora and fauna of all the sea available. So if you look at it, desalination to certain extent can be used, but making it as a portable, I wouldn't say is the best solution if you have an alternative to desalination, seawater. Now, 97% of the earth, water in the earth is in the sea. And what happens is when you expose to a higher temperature of the atmosphere and to the sun, the water starts evaporating from the sea into atmosphere, and we have water, atmospheric moisture is available. So water in the air is in the three form, either it is in the clouds as raindrops, or it is in the lower level as fog, and in between you have the moisture in the air. Now, how much of water is being evaporated from the sea into atmosphere is a very, very interesting figure, which I read somewhere. What it says is on a single day, 850 billion liters of water is being evaporated from the sea into atmosphere. Now, what is this 850 billion liters? If you try to quantify as a mankind's requirement, it is 60 days of mankind's requirement of water is available in the atmosphere by evaporation that is happening in a single day. That's a quantum which is available. What is also interesting is water which evaporates from the sea into atmosphere, as a part of the hydrological cycle, it has to come back into the sea. So when I take that water from atmosphere, the advantage what we have is we don't disturb the hydrological cycle, the water balance is not getting affected, and more moisture is getting evaporated from the sea into atmosphere, and we can easily access that. Now coming to the question that now, what is good about atmospheric moisture? One is you have a large quantity, it is a perennial source. Two, water in the atmosphere will always be void of waterborne bacteria because it does not come in contact with the ground. Three, it is got no way depleting the groundwater resource. So when you go for atmospheric water condensation, you save the limited groundwater resource. Two, you also give a very, very high quality water. Three, most importantly, it's a perennial solution. Now coming to water which is available in the atmosphere, how can we tap that? Age old, from the Greek period, people have been trying out to take water from atmosphere. So in fact, I read somewhere, they used to have a huge stone, okay? And the stone used to get cooled in the night, and the daytime when the warmer air comes in contact with the cold stone, because of temperature difference, the water used to condense. That water was taken for drinking. And you also heard, we would have heard about the fog nets, which are kept perpendicular to the flow of water between the two valleys. And what happens when the air passes through that, the condensation happens on the of the fog on the net. But the disadvantage of these things is I produce water somewhere, but my water requirement is somewhere else. Taking these water there is practically not possible. So it is, that's why it has not found the light of mankind now. It is almost getting as an experimental projects. And of course, we have other things which is happening is we have a lot of chemical processes. Like for instance, we have desiccants which can absorb moisture from the air. So a lot of research is now going on by people using a desiccant to absorb the moisture in the night time and harvest the same. The water gets saturated in the desiccant in the night time, and daytime what we do is we heat using a solar energy and water gets condensed. That is a good possibility. I will come to the disadvantage of it later. And of course, we have a lot more other processes which is coming up, like semiconductor based and the condensation, everything. Now, everything works on condensation. Now, when you look at a desiccant, the power it requires, realistically, to produce a liter of water is way, way high. So we need to find a way which will be energy efficient, which will be compatible, which can be scalable, and which can be used for very long period of time. I, as of now, have an understanding that an atmospheric water generator which works on condensation principle can be of a major impact to mankind. Primarily because you can make the water wherever you want. It does not depend where the sea is. You can make it near your house, you can make it near your office, and it's a decentralized solution. Two, depending on the requirement, we can build the capacity of the machine. If it's a family, we can make a 25 liters to 40 liter machines. Or if it is for a large village requirement, we can always make a millions liters of water. Second, the cost of water production in a good AWD system under ideal condition can cost you in Indian currency if you have less than 60 paise with a power tariff of 3 rupees. Maybe if it is slightly away from the sea, it can go up to 90 paise or 1 rupee. So it can be economical solution. I'm not telling you this is for every requirement. Let's understand this is the highest quality of water. Why can't we look at this as a solution for drinking water requirement, and also where even in agriculture, if you don't have any water, we can adapt a lot of scientific methodology, use this water and start using for agriculture. And having said that, it is scalable, it is economical, and a system is robust. What we build a system now, it can last up to 10 to 15 years because it's working similar to how a refrigerator or air conditioner works. So it has got a long life, and most importantly, it's environmentally friendly. Why I say environmentally friendly again is it does not disturb the groundwater. I could always say, no, if I take every liter of water from atmosphere, maybe I'm adding 1 more liter to the ground indirectly because I'm adding little more to the water. So it's environmentally friendly. And in terms of social, today 5% of the GDP of India is spent on health. That is mainly because they are spending money on waterborne diseases. If we could provide high quality water taken from atmosphere and distribute to various houses, maybe we could give a smaller capacity machine to every house, and no, we could save so much of money which is being spent on health. And a healthy individual forms a healthy nation, and a healthy nation is a boon to the mankind. So we should look at these aspects. So I'm always passionate about atmospheric water generator because I always, once again, take what he said. It's a solution out of the box. Everybody is talking about groundwater today. When we look at atmosphere, I have a plentiful solutions. We need to look at it and see how best we can do it. Thank you so much. Any questions on this? I'm more than happy to answer.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insight on this. For our audience over here, for the participants over here, we can, as you said, we can primarily solve for drinking water, but have you seen any possible adaptations of technologies like AWG systems or probably like Mr. Eli Cohen's and NVIDIA SS for other applications? And what applications do you see for those?
Yeah. So, like he said, no, one thing is, how do we reduce the power consumption? That is a primary concern everybody should address. So we are trying to work two ways. One is how can we make it as energy efficient as possible, because there's a lot of design changes which we can do. We can reduce the power consumption, because that's not the right way to do. Just because I have a solution which is not reducing the power is not. We, each one of us have to work. How can I improve the efficiency and reduce the power? Second, we're also trying to work with the same power, can I give some value additions? So we are trying to work out on two things which will be of very important advantage, primarily for food security. Is a farmer produces a large quantity of vegetables and he needs water. Can he use this water if he hasn't got water? Second is, the major problem a farmer has is the food is perishable. So it has to reach the user as soon as possible. So, and sometimes what happens in that process, no, he is not able to retain the price which he wants. So we have designed a system which will be a combination of an atmospheric water generator, and also as a byproduct, we create a cooling chamber, and I can create a temperature of around 4 to 6 degrees in which I can restore my vegetables as long as I want. Now, what does it does is it helps the farmer to get a good price. I think a farmer needs to be happy. He should get the best price for what effort he has put in. This might be of great use. Second, we are also working, like for instance, most of the tropical areas, the fruits grow only in seasons. Like mango comes in, say in India between April to June. Same is the case, a lot of fruits happening in Africa. But the requirement of the fruits is through the year, and the what is harvested in those 4 months can meet the entire year. Only thing is, it perishes because of the large quantity coming in short period of time. So we are also worked out a new design wherein as a byproduct, I still continue, my core will be giving the highest quality of water for the mankind. Two, as a byproduct, I create a dry hot air which can dry the fruits and make it as a pulp form. And when a dehydrated fruit has an immense shelf life, you can pack it and use it for several months together. In fact, most of your fruit juices uses only fruit pulps. Now, a farmer, if he is provided with this, he has a solution to sell through the year. That means he is not dependent on a seasonal income. He can have a longer income on this. It's a better way of giving a food security. And one more area we are trying to work is, a lot of this power plants have a huge cooling towers. And around the cooling towers, there is an evaporation loss which is happening, which is very high in water vapor. In fact, it's 100% water vapor. Now, instead of that water going waste, we're trying to find a way to duct that vapor into our system and condense water. Maybe, it becomes a CSR project for the plant. They can give that how much of water will be available. A village around can be given a high, good quality water. So these are few things we are doing. It's a constant endeavor for us. So we constantly work what best. One is reduce the power, increase the quality of the water, and also give value additions. So it keeps going on. Research is a never-ending process, because what you think you have achieved today is nothing when you think about what you can achieve tomorrow. We need to keep our eyes and ears open to improve on ourselves. Thank you, Katheryn.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Eli Cohen, a question for you. Given your years of experience as a sustainability expert, do you think inventors or founders or entrepreneurs, just building sustainable water solutions are enough? Or is it high time that, people start building disruptive water solutions, because given the gravity of the situation on hand right now? Oh, you're on mute, sir.
I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I think if I understood right the question, but I think that today there is a much more awareness, the need for solution. And there are many more entrepreneurs and companies that are involving in this market, especially in the last 2-3 years, and they're doing, some of them doing better job. Like Shyamsunder say that we need to supply water. People need to get people looking for water, and India have a specific problem of over pumping of groundwater. If you remember this 6 years ago, the big blackout in the north part of India. If you know what is the main reason, it was the overuse of pumps for irrigation. It was amazing. Nobody knows that maybe, but that was the main problem of the main reason for the collapse of the system. So I mean that we need to find any mean to reduce, first of all, to supply water, good water, to everywhere, to supply good water security to people all over the world. In the same time, to, as I said before, to reduce the energy consumption. So I think that the main trend is still the same, like it was to be, but there is much more awareness to the need of change over here in this field, and especially when countries got this obligatory to reduce carbon footprint to or energy use to 0 to in 50%, 70% in 2030, 2050. It will mean if we keep on doing what we're doing now, it will never happen, because you're using much more energy. So there should be a change in the way you approach a solution. I don't know if I answered your question, but I hope so. if not just sharpen it.
All right, follow-up question. Would you say that the adoption of such technologies, just as the NBS or let's say other sustainable technologies like the AWG, is happening at a proper pace, or do you think governments and consumers out there have to, actually focus on technologies like this and adopt them quicker? I basically mean to ask, is the time now, basically?
No, it's a good question, and I'm facing it and dealing with it day and night over here. No, I don't think it's. I think it's too slow actually, and but it's growing now. But let's say that the awareness is growing. Not enough systems in the market. We need to create the critical mass, and when people have the confidence in it, they will demand more of it. You see, decision makers, when they come to get decision, there are a few elements that guide them. First of all, what they know, what they can trust and have the confidence with. The first thing. But second thing is they don't want to fail. They wouldn't take. I had once this project in California with this big company, and I designed them a solution. And when we went to promote the health department in this, it was about 8 years ago. The health department in this region near Los Angeles. Then I showed them the solution, beautiful nature-based solution. I looked at the face and I knew that something wrong. And then he called me and they called me, Eli, can I talk to you? And he say, listen, I love the solution, but you have to understand that if I take this solution instead of something else and something happened, then they cut my head. It's like me buying an old IBM or a new, at that time, Chinese computer. Something happened to the Chinese, they will kill me. IBM is IBM. See, this was the approach, but I think it changed. I think it's changing now. And I think people first of all understand that the old school solutions are not actually giving the solution, and it's a fact because we are putting so much money into solutions which are actually not functioning. So we need to think, like we said before, out the box, find some other solution. In one hand, on the other hand, I think the demand coming from the bottom, and so in the younger generation think differently. So I believe that it's going to change. If it will be in my lifetime, let's see.
All right, sir. A similar question from Mr. Shyamsunder. You do have worked with government institutions to develop or implement technologies such as the AWG. So what have you seen from the decision makers end, that have caused them to not choose this or delay the decision further into choosing sustainable technologies such as these?
If you ask me, I'll go from the past to the present. There are two sides to that. So if I look back, primarily people were thinking, like I have a water which is already available. Why should I bother about an alternative? So that's the first question they had. Okay, why should I venture into something which is a paradigm shift? No? Because everybody is thinking water is from the ground and we have to use. Now, when I go tell them we have a different source of water, which is atmosphere, and they're not able to, everybody is thinking water comes from tap, not from machine. So there is a lot of confusion. People said it is magic, but never thought of using it. And as Elliot Cohen said, there's a lot of resistance. They are used to the conventional methodology. So to shift them, it was a lot of an issue. But let me say, water has played its own game. The problem with water has created, people have woken up now. They know they can't continue to be what they are continuing to do. A lot of people now, they're much more open. Even the government institutions or anywhere you see, they're willing to experiment. We, in fact, quite a few places, they have already started trying out as a pilot model in their own offices so that they can implement in various places. The shift is happening. Whether it is forced by water or by their own realization, I don't know. But the positive thing is the shift is happening. A lot is happening now. Yeah.
I have a question for Mr. Eli Cohen from Ms. Sailaja in the chat. She was asking about the affordability of your portable sustainable toilet solution and about mass deployment in rural government schools.
Well, I believe when you don't have a solution, this is the solution. If you decide that you need a solution, so you want something that will work for the long run. And you need to look for something that is completely sustainable, need no minimal maintenance. And the only one that you need over here in our system is actually cleaning it, keep it in a good shape. That's mainly because you supply once in a while water, which is happening in many areas of the country. And actually, by the way, you also recycle the water and you treat it on site and can use it for other means. So which means that you can, it's affordable, it's needable, and I think it's just, well, if you think about the alternatives, which is the energy-based one, you make your own calculation. It's very simple.
We're open for any more questions that any of the participants may have.
Mr. Karthik, this is Shailaja who posed a question just now. I'm from CSIR ICP. I could not really get the whole answer of Dr. Eli Cohen. And so in continuation, I was actually inclined to know if they are fine with open for collaboration with CSIR organizations, like how we have for the AWG. We do have this patent together, and we are with the Maithri Aquatech. We would like to know if for this kind of a portable sustainable toilet system, our CBRI Institute has the technology to erect this kind of a makeshift kind of a thing. And if you are inclined for collaboration, I think there is a lot of scope. We can make it customized to the Indian context and also make it more affordable, such that more and more such units can be deployed under corporate social responsibility. I'm sure many of the people would be very interested in coming up for funding for this kind of facilitation to girls, particularly in these government schools. They are in fact not attending schools because of lack of such a facility, and due to the safety and security issues, the parents don't like to send them to schools.
Well, absolutely. We are more than open. Actually, it was done. We developed it based on request. Actually, we used to work. We are working a lot with the Rotary organization for years, and we design many of our systems were designed in answer for requests from the Rotary to give solution for villages all over, and the same with the portable toilets. Yeah, we're looking for a partner that care about a solution, that really want to give solution, and they have the leverage to do that. And of course, it's the first thing is the government, but government is the government, as you know, it takes long time. But if organization like an CSR and an NGO that can leverage it and take it forward, it can be. We are surely looking forward, and we would love to discuss it. And of course, if the numbers will be big enough, we can also check the made in India, of course, the system later on. You just need to be economical enough to shift it and to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I would require your email ID. I request Dr. Naveen Mathur maybe or Mr. Karthik to share it. They all have my email IDs. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Mr. Shyamsunder, a question for you from Mr. Saiju Verghese. He's asking about whether AWG as a technology can be a substitute for the current solutions, that provide distilled water to you, to farm industries or hospitals.
So current solution for?
Distilled water.
Yeah. So actually, AWG water assets, it will have a very, very low quantity of TDS as a source water, and with little filtration process, we can comfortably make it to suit to distilled water, because we have done certain experiment wherein it has been utilized as a lab grade water. We call it as type 1 and type 2 water. It is definitely possible, very easy to achieve it, because the source water is very, very pure.
Good afternoon, experts. Thanks for the wonderful presentation to both of you and the organizing authorities. I am from Chennai, Rajarajeshwar, Assistant Professor in Civil Engineering. My doubt is it seasonal or year-round, the availability? AGW I'm asking, AGW.
Yeah, AWG is around the year provided if you are 150 to 200 kilometers from sea. So as you go away, so some of the hilly terrain or away from sea, there is a drop in the water condensation during the winter months. So there is an issue there. But what we are also trying to understand is anywhere there is a 4 months period where we have 100% output. Every person, like the monsoon had taking care of India's requirement coming for 4 months. In unfavorable terrains, maybe they could produce more on a higher capacity, produce and save water and use it for the rest of the time. The advantage being even after 6 months, there's no bacteria growth in this water. That may be the case. But if you ask me, 250 kilometers from the sea, it is through the year you get water.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And one more question, if you don't mind. I'm not a pessimist. With due respect for all the technology and the authorities, intelligence and thing, don't mistake me just for verification I'm asking. Decades ago, all the experts vouched windmill is the most cleanest form of energy generation, power generation. But now there are reports that even windmills cause some ecological disturbance. Like that, will there be any problem due to this AGWB in the long run?
No. Primarily what happens is, as I explained in the presentation, there's a very huge quantity of water which is evaporating from the sea into atmosphere. And what we take is almost nothing when compared to what is being evaporated. Even if every person takes 50 liters of water per day, still we cannot deplete the moisture because it is part of the hydrological cycle. See, groundwater is something which is a fixed quantity. As I keep on removing it over a period of time, there is no water. Whereas atmosphere is a replenishing one. It doesn't cost anything. Interestingly, if you ask about the greenhouse effect, one of the things which is casting greenhouse effect at a very high level is water vapor. If you are going to take water vapor from atmosphere, it can reduce the temperature, and the greenhouse effect is also indirectly reduced only. There's no negative effect that can be a positive effect by using a large scale system. And second, they did make a study in Canada in a valley where very high quantities of AWG were deployed, and over a period of time it was observed, and they found that the rain production increased by 7% where they had AWG than when compared to the place which didn't have a AWG. So environmentally, as of now, there is no impact with AWG. And I don't expect to happen even over hundreds of millions of years to come because it's a cyclic water which we are tapping. Hopefully, mankind doesn't grow too big by then. That's the only question now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone for the questions. Given the constraint of time, we'll be bringing the Q&A session to a close. I personally thank the panelists once again, for sharing their knowledge on this platform, being a part of AquaTalks. As a startup, we plan to, conduct this episode on a monthly basis and get experts such as yourselves, subject matter experts and sustainability experts from the field who could share the perspective on the topics of water. We once again thank the Rotary Club Bangalore Whitefield Central chapter for being a part of this episode, and the Rotarians in attendance, along with all of our participants. We love having everyone attend this. And the recording of this episode will be live on the AquaTalks by Maithri Aquatech YouTube channel within the next day or two, with also a recording being available on Maithri Aquatech's own website. Once again, Mr. Eli Cohen, Mr. Shyamsunder, and all the participants, thank you for joining us. Stay safe, be water positive out there. Take care. If any questions are there for Mr. Eli Cohen or for Mr. Shyamsunder, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll read out the questions right over to them so they'll they can respond to you. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.